Ladies and gentlemen, I am denouncer Dwayne Cunningham, my homie, my ace in the hole, my brother, my whatever, dump truck.
What's
With me in the
happening?
booth. What's happening, man?
We've done this a couple times before, Dwayne. You know, whenever I look at our schedule, I get kind of excited when I get these matchups.
Me too, man. I cannot hide it.
And not just with you and I, also with the game that's going to be happening in front of us, with Houston going against Atlanta. Atlanta right now is the number 4 seed in this tournament, and they are looking to crack in to the number 3 spot and get to go to Denver, Colorado for the championship tournament. Now that being said, Houston's been on a pretty big upswing as of late, and they've got a few new additions to their roster as well that bring some old school leadership, like Wendigo Jones and also Auntie.
Yeah, Houston with a full schedule this year. Most recently a win over Assassination City, but they played Montreal, Boston. Last time they played Atlanta was in May, and they won that game. They lost that game by about 30 points. So anything can happen. Certainly a classic in the making, just about to get underway here. Two old regional rivals. Been in this game for a long time.
Looks like everybody on the trek is ready to go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third bout of the Derby weekend. We got Atlanta taking on the Houston Roller Derby All-Stars. Looks like we're going to get straight into the action. Almost the pack is all but at a crawl. But there go the Jammers. Let's see if they can speed this piece up.
All right, looks like your jammer for Houston is going to be number 26, Brandade. Right now, she's caught the back of the pack behind a 3-wall of Atlanta defenders.
And Atlanta finally gets their jammer out the front of the pack, and she is in fact lead jammer. So the first lead jammer of the game goes to Atlanta's Dirty South Derby girls. That is the Merchant of Menace, team captain for the Dirty South Derby girls, and she is already in scoring position, plunging into the pack, trying to find an outside lane, but she senses the approach of Brandade and shuts the jam down, and 0 points scored on either side.
We would like to thank a lot of our sponsors. This broadcast is brought to you in part by WFTDA.com, Dr. Hauschka Auche, the official bruise healer of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, Adam Wheels, the official wheel of the WFTDA, and Rydell Skates, partner and official skate of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association.
And there goes the first whistle, signifying the pack to move.
Looks like Hollis Seidel standing on the jammer line this time for Atlanta. Meanwhile, for Houston, we have Beverly Kills. Little jammer turbulence as they come off the line. But Hollis Seidel finding an open lane on the outside, runs into some Houston defense in the front of the house. Both jammers having a hard time getting through. Beverly Kills, gets in front of her, ground to the inside. It's either jammer's game still. Beverly Kills ground out by a 2-wall.
Having a tough try. She has to
No matter where you're at in this pack right now, it's a battle. Neither jammer has been able to get out of the pack. They continue to get recycled over and over again. This is what you like to see. Two teams coming out to play the game. They're really not feeling each other out very much at all. They've got a goal in mind. They've got a game plan that they want to complete, and that's exactly what's happening in front of us right now.
Beverly Kills finally makes her way out the front of the pack. Lead jammer Houston. Hard Knocks Roller Derby. And if this first jam and a half is any indication, we're going to see a lot more defense than offense, huh?
I love watching games like that. The score is usually very, very low. They're extremely intense, and 9 times out of 10, they come down to the wire. So this could prove to be a very exciting game of Derby today.
We'll see what happens when the penalties start rolling in, and we have blockers in the penalty box. So far, we've got a clean game. Nobody goes to the box yet, and Beverly Kills makes her first scoring run. It is a 5-point grand slam, so 5 unanswered points go into Houston's favor first.
And she's ready to pick up some more points as she goes on the outside line of turn 1. Knowing that the jammer from Atlanta is approaching, she goes through, tries to pick up points. She gets 1 extra point. That's a 6-point jam for Houston. They're the first ones on the board. Houston is in black and pink. Atlanta in red and blue. This is the first period, 26 minutes, 36 seconds to go. 6-0 Houston.
Don't forget, Houston is the lower seed, just slightly, number 5 to Atlanta's number 4. Nonetheless, they are on the board first, 6-0. 2 jams in.
And we do have 5-on-5 on the track right now.
Nora Gretz on the jammer line for Atlanta. But she doesn't get there first. The jammer who gets there first is none other than Shawshank for Houston, but she is ineligible. Picked up a minor penalty, minor back block on her way out the pack. And get this, Nora Gretz also ineligible to be lead jammer. So it will go the full 2 minutes as the whiteboard gets sullied for the first time.
Shawshank at the front of the pack does get put out of bounds, and she has to re-enter the action, and she continues to take abuse from Atlanta. We were talking about a really tight defensive game. That's what's happening right now in front of us. If you have a star helmet cover on, this is going to be a long day.
Yeah, the defense, the 3-wall in the front of the pack right now for Houston has Nora Gretz's number. She finally manages to get through thanks to an assist from her jammer and picks up a 4-point pass.
Now Atlanta on the board. It is a 2-point game as of this moment. We do have 45 seconds to go in this jam.
The shutout is over.
Shank making her way to the front of the pack, trying to get around Queez Lucy Atifa. She gets put to the infield. And now it looks like Houston's going to be down one of their blockers.
Penalty box gets used for the first time. That is number 21, Jekyll and Heidi, the defender from Houston.
Shank caught behind a wall of red, and it is getting slow. Atlanta really controlling the pace, really owning at this point in the jam with just seconds to go.
Predicted early we'd see a lot more defense and offense. As pack slows down like this, we're going to see exactly the opposite. Now Shank comes out the front of the pack, picks up 4 points of her own, so essentially a net gain of 0 for either team. Oh, excuse me, Nora Gretz actually enters for 3 more points just before the jam comes to an end. So Houston with a 3-point lead over Atlanta after 3 jams. 24:04 left in the first half of this contest.
One of our great sponsors has been quite interactive at all of the region playoffs. You've got rollergirlskates.com. If you're at one of the Big 5 tournaments, be prepared to catch something. They've been throwing some of their merch items out in the crowd, creating some great energy out there, having a lot of fun, and supporting the South Central Region playoff. rollergirlskates.com.
Got to keep your eyes open when they're around, huh? Action back underway. Number 26, Brand-Aid, jamming once again for Houston.
She goes down in turn 1. She's quick to get back on her feet. Stuck in the back of the pack right now, but that is not a problem that Atlanta is having. Looks like
Merchant of Menace, the jammer for Atlanta, finds her way out the front of the pack, and Atlanta gets lead jammer for the Dirty South Derby girls. And man, she is trucking out there en route to the backfield. She's going to make it there before Brand-Aid gets out the front of the pack.
Atlanta's defense starting to turn it up as Demi Gore takes out Brand-Aid there in turn 4, making her get recycled and giving a huge advantage to the Merchant of Menace as she gets through and picks up 5 points for that grand slam.
Makes it a lead change, and she's going back for more. Brand-Aid still caught between 2 defenders in the front of the house. Finally makes it out. They got to let her go out of play. Remember, that was still her first pass, and Merchant going in for another one. She's going to get it. 4-point pass, and that makes it 9 for the jam. It's going to be 17-10, so Atlanta with a big momentum shift after 5 jams.
Both of these teams now with enough jams under their belt to where they're going to start getting into a little bit better of a rhythm. You're going to see some of these strategies start to change a little bit as they start to see what works for them on this surface that they're skating on and against their opponent.
Beverly Kills jamming once again for Houston. The entire defense just taunting the jammer line. But they left a hole on the inside. And the jammer from Atlanta exploits it. Oh, but shut down in the front of the house, and maybe Houston's going to pull this out. It is. Beverly Kills.
Wow.
Beverly Kills comes out the front of the pack first. She is ineligible, and so Atlanta picks up lead jammer instead. That is Hollis Seidel. So she's lead jammer, but both jammers swallowed back up into the pack.
Boy, the pace of the pack is starting to really pick up. It's starting to get a little more spread out right there. One of the great things about a game like this is that you honestly don't know who's going to get out of the pack first. They may be both at the same spot at the same time. That doesn't mean anything with the way these defenses folding out.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They just keep getting swallowed back up. There's people doing unintentional pirouettes. People don't know which way they are. Finally, a jammer comes out the front of the pack. The jam comes to an end on time. No points scored for either side, so it remains 17-10 in the first half. 21-04, Atlanta in red, Houston in black. Derby Skins they're talking about on the house mic. You're familiar with them, aren't you?
They're familiar with a lot of things on me. That is for sure. They tend to dress me up in tight and shinies, and it would behoove you to join in on the fun and go check out Derby Skins.
I don't swear there's anything in your wardrobe that is not made by Derby Skins.
Well, if it's tight and shiny, I want to wear it in public.
Yeah, well, can't blame a guy for that.
Shawshank's going to be jamming for Houston.
Oh, and she almost had him. A ground on the inside, had to recycle herself. Atlanta steals it away. That is Nora Gretz jamming for Atlanta. And finally, Shank comes out the front. Nora Gretz already plunges into the pack in scoring position. Picks up 1, 2, 3, and 4 points on the pass. Calls it dead before Shank is closer than a mile away, and 4 unanswered points go on the board for Atlanta. 21-10, and Houston, with the early momentum shift, has now been erased.
Well, whenever you're seated this closely with 4 and 5 going toe-to-toe, the winner of this game is still in contention to advance in this tournament. You have to take your points whenever they're given. You get those points, you call off the jam. Safe is smart. 21 points now, Atlanta. Houston has 10. Atlanta's not going to be comfortable with only an 11-point lead. They're going to want to push, especially because we still have 19 minutes, 35 seconds in the first period.
Yeah, if they keep scoring at this pace, it is going to be a little bit of a shootout. We'll see. The middle of the day on day one of these tournaments, the way they shake down, you see these 9 versus 10 seeds and these 4 versus 5 seeds, and you get to see some good games. That last one was unbelievable. How'd you like that?
I loved it. Green Country came out, and they looked like they were going to be pretty dominant in that game. And then suddenly Gold Coast woke up, and their pack play just really started to tighten up. And they also had a much deeper jammer rotation. I think that was a big part of it as well. They didn't run out of fuel, and their energy stayed up the entire time. You could tell.
Yeah, and it was anybody's game all the way to the end.
Yeah, lead changes, 10-point game at the very end. Everybody wins that was watching that.
Yep. And there's a good chance this one's going to turn out that way also. Standing on the line is Merchant of Menace.
Yep, Merchant of Menace for Atlanta, and number 26, Brandade for Hard Knocks.
Merchant trying to sneak her way out around the front. 2 defenders for Houston. Out of play. Got to let her go. Merchant of Menace, lead jammer, Atlanta Dirty South Derby Girls.
The Angie Cries trying to hold her back as long as possible, doing a great job there in the pivot position for Houston's Hard Knocks. Merchant of Menace now coming to the back of the pack, getting ushered through by her red wall. But it looks like that jam's going to be killed. Brandade coming to the back of the pack, forces her to call off the jam. No points scored there. 18 minutes, 32 seconds to go, Dwayne.
We had a lot of point scoring in the first couple of jams. The offense has gone just a little bit stagnant since then. We've got Beverly Hills standing on the line, looking to turn that around for Houston. Sew up this 11-point deficit they currently are enduring.
Beverly Hills on the jammer line for Houston, as the jammers have now been released.
And Hollis-Idle once again for Atlanta. Hollis-Idle threatening the front of the pack, finds an open lane on the inside. Did she lose a foot? She did. She stepped to the inside, has to recycle herself, and Beverly Hills going to take advantage. Lead jammer, Hard Knocks.
That kind of play makes your jammer really, really happy when you have a blocker like Carmen Get It on Houston's side who can take out that jammer, force it to be recycled. It gives you another 4 to 6 seconds to really get it together and get through when you're the jammer, and it worked out well for him there.
Yeah, and there is no doubt the Hollis-Idle had that lead jammer call if she hadn't ground her out on that invisible inside wall, made her walk the tightrope and stumble over it. Beverly Hills taking advantage, but unfortunately for all that effort, No point scored for either side.
No point scored, and it looks like this is going to turn into a power jam situation with Miss Stilla jamming for the first time today for Houston in black and pink. Again, Atlanta in red and blue.
Miss Stilla, a sight for sore eyes. If you're a Houston fan, she immediately gets lead jammer en route to the backfield. In her power jam, nobody to answer her points, and in the time it took me to say that, plunges into the back in scoring position. On the inside, untouched, but a four-wall awaits her in the front of the house.
The four wall starting to slow things down a bit. Miss Stilla at the front, looking for a way out. Not getting, it was not given to them very easy. Looks like we have some separation in the back and an isolation play where Queen Lucia Tifa has been trapped at the back of the pack, allowing 5 points to jump on the board for Houston.
This is exactly what they wanted to do. Miss Stilla now on the outside looking for a second scoring run. Ooh, he's got some hands in the air. She's going to have to watch that. There's a three wall in the front. It's a little bit loose.
Miss Stilla constantly looking for a way through that front wall. She gets put to the infield and recycled to the back of the pack.
Oh, and there was a no pack just for a second, but Miss Stilla unable to take advantage of it, and Atlanta gets their jammer back.
Holocidal back on the track for Atlanta. The power jam is now over. Miss Stilla still at the front of the pack. Tries to get through and around. Not able to do so, but she does pick up all 5 of those available points. Now, Miss Stilla, in my opinion, that was the first jammer pass that we have truly seen being able to be done so quickly. She hit that pack really hard on the first pass.
Oh, man.
And she was just out of it almost at the same time she entered it. That's the first time we've seen a jammer do that in this game.
Really we have. She was just a ninja out there, disappeared behind the pack and appeared again in front of it, and effectively, because it was an 11-point lead by Atlanta, now suddenly we have a 1-point game after the 2 grand slams by Miss Stilla and a timeout called, I guess, to celebrate by Houston.
This broadcast brought to you in part by Elemental Technologies, the world's most powerful video processing solutions. Outside the lines, a new kind of t-shirt at the Splendland booth. Make sure you check them out at all of the Big 5 tournaments.
Finland Media, they are some talented people.
Union Vacations, they're proud to provide the 2011 WFTDA MVP with a 1-week getaway to Mexico. It's nice to be able to give back to those fantastic athletes that we are blessed to be in front of here today.
Heck yeah, no doubt about it.
I think they're over there discussing barbecue. My lip reading isn't what it used to be, but I think you got everybody hungry.
Looks like both teams heading to the jammer line, building that rear wall. Rebel Ann plugging the one hole that's there in front of her jammer. It's going to be number 26, Brandade, and she's going to be going against, I believe that is 99, Nora Gretz. Atlanta taking a knee, creating a no-pack situation, forcing forward momentum. These ladies came to play roller derby. Nora Gretz going to the outside of turn 1, gets through. She's going to be your lead jammer for the Dirty South Derby girls.
Houston catching up, and Nora Gretz does not want to let it happen, but with Brandade now out of the box, Nora Gretz is going to have to make her way to the back of this pack, put some points on the board fast and shut it down fast, because here comes Brandade. Both jammers are going to wind up scoring points at the same time. Atlanta's bench telling her, call it off. And she does so in time, picks up 3 points. Brandade was knocking on that back door, but unable to sneak in. So 3 unanswered points for Atlanta, making it 24-20. Just under 15 minutes left in the first half of the contest.
A lot of great things happening there for the Atlanta squad out there in red and blue. The second that they notice that they have lead jammer status, they start to slow things down, also recognizing that they had about a half a lap to play with. And then once their jammer hits the pack, they turn around, they look for that opposing jammer, and they tell their jammer where she is so she can focus on what's ahead of her.
Right.
Great communication, great application of strategy at the proper time.
Nonetheless, only a slight lead held by Atlanta, and this time they get lead jammer once again.
Merchant of Mayhem getting out of the pack for the Dirty South Derby girls, picking up lead jammer status. She is jamming against Beverly Kills for Houston's Hard Knocks. Both jammers out of the pack. Atlanta in scoring position.
And in fact, she is already there. Man, she came into the pack, got a bump to the inside. Instead of recycling herself, she called the jam Oh, but she did get all 4 points. She did get all 4 points, and Beverly Hills nowhere close. So 4 unanswered points, and the lead widens to 28-20.
Looks like the Jammers now from both sides of the bench are starting to wake up a little bit. The pack play is definitely still very intense. The strategic minds that are out there are doing wonderful work for their Jammers. And now I feel like both the Jammers from Atlanta and Houston are starting to get some warm legs underneath them.
Houston with an E on the floor to get the jam started as soon as possible. Miss Stilla jamming once again for Houston. We saw great things out of her last time. And look at this. Now Miss Stilla is going to be in a power jam.
Well, it looked to be so, and now we have a pointless jam. No, both Jammers do go
in
to
more
the
ways than one.
Yeah, exactly. Now explain to me what happens when both Jammers go to the box like that.
Well, technically, and I wonder if they both got a penalty there that sent them to the box, or if it was just a mistaken call. Both of them looked at the same jam ref. Whatever the case, I guess if one sat down a second before the other one, then they're both back out. So
whenever you have no jammer on the floor, you want to make sure that they get to go out there. So they serve the exact same amount of time in the penalty box. They win at the same time. They came out at the same time. Right now, Miss Stilla at the front of the pack, trying to break through. But Atlanta's wall is going up to meet her and slowing things down, trying to stay within 20 feet of that body of work at the back.
She is just surrounded in the front of the pack, and they are holding her at bay. But now she gets around. Miss Stilla comes out in the front of the pack to complete her initial pass. That was not her initial scoring pass, but now she's in scoring position.
Holosidal now in turn 4, looking to get up to the front. Houston's Hard Knocks creating a tool wall now. And Holosidal pushing on the front door. There's one blocker in her way. That is the Antichrist. And the Antichrist doing a good job holding her at bay until reinforcements arrive. Antichrist, a veteran of this sport, coming from the land of Texas.
Yeah, you might have recognized her back in the old days when she was a damage magnet for the Texecutioners.
Looks like that jam gets called off by Houston, picking up 3 points on that pass. And the game just continues to stay tight. We've got a 5-point game in our hands. Atlanta in the red and blue with 28. Houston in black and pink with 23. And Dwayne, we've got 11 minutes, 13 seconds to go in the first period of this game, and it's moving right along.
Had a feeling this is the kind of game maybe we would see, and sure enough, it is coming to pass. Number 26, Brand-Aid, standing on the line once again for Houston Hard Knocks. They are the ones dressed in black and pink. And she is facing off once again against No Regrets. No Regrets for number 99 for the Dirty South Derby girls in red. And No Regrets gets a big bump as she enters the pack, able to stay on her feet, but Brand-Aid sent to the box, and No Regrets in a power jam, as somebody once said.
I have no idea who you could be speaking of. Power jam, advantage, Dirty South Derby girls.
There it is. And No Regrets taking advantage of said power jam. She completes her initial run. She's now in scoring position as the only breadwinner on the track. Enters the pack on the outside, cuts back to the inside, and smack dab into a onslaught of Houston defense, and she pushes her way through, picks up a 5-point grand slam-o.
Houston doing good work there. Just about every single blocker in the pack got a taste of No Regrets there, and Wendigo Jones pushes her to the infield. Another veteran there, transferred from the Bay Area Derby girls.
Clearly it's paying off. No Regrets trying to push her way through the defense once again, having a hard time doing it. It's a kind of a loose defense. You got a 3-wall in the back and one more off to the side, but it is effective. One blocker trapped in the back for Houston, but No Regrets pushing her way through, and Houston gets her jammer back. She drops the apex.
Wow, that is impressive, and it looks like at the same time No Regrets got her 4th minor penalty for cutting the track, and she's going to the penalty box, and now it's a power jam advantage Houston with 1 minute and 52 seconds left to go in this jam.
And already Brand-Aid performing acrobatics out there that sure seem promising. They're down by 10 points, but man, if she keeps playing like this. And now What is happening now? Looks like Brand-Aid. Did she call the jam? Yeah.
It was a combination of quite a few penalties being served and the jam being called off at the same time. Looks like 4 points there for Atlanta.
You might have noticed it's kind of
Might get an OTO to sort this out. Yeah, they seem like they got it.
Current score, Atlanta 37, Houston 24. We've got 8 minutes, 50 seconds to go in this first period.
And it looks like no regrets is going to be in the box still when the next jam begins. But I think that Houston is going to take this opportunity to send out a fresh jammer, Wicked Sweet, currently standing on the line for Houston.
When you're a team that has a deep bench, you've got such a huge advantage by being able to share the load with the other 13 people on that bench. It's a big responsibility whenever you have a shallow rotation in not only the jammer spot, but definitely in your pack as well. Whenever you can spread that out and have more than one job, say be a pivot, be a blocker, and be able to be a jammer, have more than one player that can do that, at the end of the game, you'll have plenty of gas left for the road trip that you're already a part of.
Yeah, if that's in your arsenal, there is no reason to use it. And what better time to send one out, a fresh jammer, than on a power jam like the one that Houston is about to enjoy right now. And it is an official timeout, as we suspected we might see. So as long as we're having one, as long as we're on holiday.
We'd like to thank Protect Dent Mouth Guard.
Protect Dent Mouth Guards. Dump Truck currently wearing one.
That explains so much.
Yeah.
So much. The first thoroughly scientific mouth guard for the Derby player. And those mouth guards are super, super important. You get a mouth guard, you need to make sure it's one that lets you communicate from one skater to the next. And you need to make sure that it is an official mouth guard, something recommended by one of these fantastic skate shops that are here, like derbysupply.net. Those mouth guards prevent concussions. This does happen to be a high impact sport. A good mouth guard may not be a bad idea. Well, nothing gets by you, does it, Dwight?
No, I caught that. But yeah, it's important to keep your mouth safe, and while not cutting into the game, still able to call audibles if you got one of those.
And if you want to take your league to the next level, you need to make sure you check out Skate Court Roller Derby Flat Tracks. That's what we're looking at right now.
Yep, we in the Kansas City Roller Warriors have had this floor for a while, and it has certainly served us well. I say us, I walk across it and get it dirty once before the game, and then spend the rest of the night describing it.
At least you're part of the solution there. You know?
It's important. It's important.
Got to keep the wheels moving. You're just a cog in the wheel of cleaning the track as you walk across and leave your dirt trail behind you.
This is Denouncer Cog Cunningham with Dump Truck. 8:50 left in the first half. It is 37-24 Atlanta over Houston. A lot of momentum shifts both directions in this game. An official timeout coming to an end right now. And a fresh jammer in a power jam standing on the line for Houston Hard Knocks. That is none other than Wicked Sweet. Wicked Sweet. Only 3 defenders for Atlanta on the floor. Only 2 on the floor for Houston. That penalty box after the official timeout wound up pretty full.
It did. Now this is something you don't necessarily see all the time. It's 2 and 3 in the pack, advantage going to Atlanta. You would think that Houston would want to stick around that pivot line as long as possible to milk the penalty clock.
Jeez.
But they're aware that the jammer from Atlanta does not have a lot of time left, so they want to get this jam underway.
There were very few blockers on the track anyway, and all of them took a spill at once, so Wicked Sweet took advantage of it, and clear sailing for her. She picks up lead jammer and immediately is in scoring position, knocking on the back door. So only 2 blockers stand in her way in the front of the pack, but they do an effective job grinding her out, and it's got to be a no pack. It is. They got to let her go. And 5 unanswered points for Wicked Sweet. Now Nora Gretz comes back on the floor, so Atlanta has a chance, and oh man, Nora Gretz just slices that pack open. Wicked Sweet now in scoring position once again. For Nora Gretz, that was the first pass, and no points, but she's looking for some now. And Wicked Sweet sees her coming, shuts it down, and she had just barely entered the back of the pack, only enough for, she did get 2 points out of it.
A lot of that goes on the Atlanta side. You got Kayla Whoop-Ass really holding her back there. Great job by Atlanta's pack. I've seen them be successful over and over again in this first period. I'm very impressed with their team play and their level of communication, their ability to skate together. Nobody does anything successfully all by themselves.
No, there's no doubt about it. This defense is almost telepathic on the ATL side at times, and we saw a great example of it just there. It could have been much worse damage inflicted.
Looks like Merchant of Mayhem is going to be jamming for Atlanta. And I believe that's Beverly Kills for Houston's Hard Knocks.
Looks like Atlanta, Merchant of Menace, is the one who's going to pick up lead jammer.
Correction, that is Wendigo Jones jamming for Houston Roller Derby.
Another fresh jammer.
She's starting to make her way to the front of the pack, but Atlanta's in scoring position. Merchant of Mayhem starting to make her move over in turn 4. Getting by what's left of the Houston defense. Now she's met by a 2-wall in black and pink. Make that 3. Houston doing some very good smart pack play here. Their jammer is trapped at the back of the pack, but they cannot let Atlanta score any more points. Their focus right now is all about the Atlanta jammer and stopping her. Smart.
Wendigo still stuck in the back of the pack. Merchant of Menace on her scoring run. Gets a whip from her defender and cuts back to the inside. Completes a scoring run, and it's 4 unanswered points for Atlanta. They're going to pull ahead to make it a 10-point game, and already Merchant of Menace ready to put some more points on the board.
Houston
Wendigo
really spread out right there, Dwayne, allowing Merchant of Menace to get through with no problem at all. We were talking about earlier how Atlanta's been skating together very well. When you don't do that, this is what happens. You string it out like that, you're making her job really easy.
And meanwhile, the defense on the Atlanta side able to effectively neuter Wendigo during this entire jam. She's just now coming out of the front of the pack, so she's in scoring position now, but Merchant of Menace going in for another scoring run, her 3rd. And a face mask penalty, loses one of the defenders, Rebel Ann, for Houston. The jam comes to an end on time. Merchant of Menace scores 1 more point. That's going to be a 47-31, 16-point lead for Atlanta with 5 minutes left in the first half of this contest.
Looking for Houston to do some big things before we get to the half. It would not surprise me if this game got even tighter the closer we got to halftime. One thing Houston really needs to be careful of is their penalties. They've had a lot of traffic in that penalty box.
Yeah, take a look at from our angle. We can see the whiteboard down there, and it looks like a mosaic. Brand-Aid trying to grind her way through the 3-wall in the front of the house, and she is unable to do so before Atlanta pushes through their jammer first. That is Homicidal, lead jammer for the Dirty South Derby girls. Beautiful.
Homicidal at the back of the pack starting to pick up points now as she's passing Houston. Gets through. Wow, that took almost no time. About 30 feet is all that took. She busts through. Picks up 4 points on the way. Right now, Atlanta with 51 points, Houston with 31, 4 minutes, 3 seconds to go in regulation. By the time I'm done with that statement, looks like we've got a grand slam for the Dirty South Derby girls. Pack slowing down very much as Atlanta knows a slower pack is an easier day at the office for their jammer. Homicidal now at the front of the pack, goes around the outside with ease and picks up another 5 points. And Atlanta is starting to stretch out their lead with under 4 minutes to go in the first period, Dwayne.
Yeah, 30 points is the deficit right now that Houston wants to overcome. And it looks like Homicidal feels she has done enough damage, but she puts 4 more points on the board, a 34-point lead. So early on, pretty close game, but Atlanta really starting to pull away. 3:19 left, couple more jams. Houston with their jammer still in the box. That's Brand-Aid when the next jam begins. So a power jam for the jammer for Atlanta, which looks like is going to be the one in red.
Number 99, Nora Gretz, going to be jamming for Atlanta. You are good with your colors, sir.
Thank you.
Nora Gretz hits the back of the pack as Atlanta opens up the back wide. And Houston does not stop her. She gets lead jammer in less than 15 seconds of play.
Lordy, lordy, lordy. Open lane on the outside. She was untouched, just sailed right through. Now, Houston puts up a 3-wall on the inside, cuts to the inside.
Angie Christ in front of her from Houston with the pivot helmet stripe on.
Oh, man.
Able to hold her back for a little over a turn. But Atlanta starting to pick up yet again more grand slams on the way.
Houston's 3-wall looked formidable for just a second, but Nora Gress just smashed right through it. Did so cleanly, didn't even pick up a penalty. Now a 2-wall in the front. She switches back to the inside. Brandade back on the field now. Completes her initial non-scoring run, but Nora Gress sees her, calls it dead after picking up 4 more points. So Atlanta with a devastating last few jams of the first half. 1:52 left before halftime. Now both jammers once again now.
My favorite part of that, Dwayne, is watching Nora Gretz get through that pack, turn around, focus on Brandade, seeing that she's about to approach the back of the pack, but she's got time. She looked right at that clock, because with a lead like 74-31 just before the half, that clock starts to be your friend and your 15th player.
It really shows the maturation of the sport, because how many times over the years do we see, you know, jammers with their eyes shut, let the other one sneak in, answer their points, let the clock not get managed. Not happening to Atlanta, who now gets lead jammer once again. That's Bruce Orman.
Bruce Orman jamming for the first time this morning for Atlanta.
Atlanta feeling pretty confident.
Wicked Sweet out there jamming for Houston Roller Derby in black and pink. She does get out of the pack. This will be a full 2-minute jam as Wicked Sweet gets out of the pack.
And Bruce Orman completes her initial scoring run. She was, thanks to a no point, no penalty, lost one of her points, but she did get 3 on the pass. And now Wicked Sweet trying to sneak in the back door, but she is not moving very fast, and Bruce is going to catch up to her.
Yeah, she got tripped up by one of her own skaters there right when she hit the back of the pack. She was pushed forward a good bit, which is good. Your teammates can trust each other enough to where you can kind of sling each other around a bit. But she does end up getting tripped up. Now making her way to the front of the pack. And Orman now at the back of the pack as Houston Roller Derby's defense starting to turn it up. The 007 Goldie Blocks doing a great job of having a little bit of teamwork and holding her back in the pack.
Demi Gore, the defender from Atlanta, sent to the box. Miss Stella, the defender for Houston, comes out of the box, so now a full defense on Houston's side. Atlanta only has 3 on the pack. Wicked Sweet now trying to put some points on the board.
Houston able to hold Atlanta's jammer for over a lap now, allowing Wicked Sweet to take advantage of the fact that she's already got one scoring pass under her belt. She tried to get by Canada Whoop-Ass, but gets knocked to the infield. And that's going to be the end of this jam. It looks like 4 there for Houston, 3 for Atlanta, according to our officials on the track. And that's going to bring Atlanta to 80 points over Houston's 39. And that's going to take us into halftime, Dwayne.
How about that? It was a nail-biter of a game early on. The momentum starting to go to Atlanta. We'll see if Houston can bring it back here in 10 minutes.
All right, we're back, and we are getting ready for the second period of Houston Roller Derby versus Atlanta. Score right now, 39 for Houston, 80 for Atlanta. Do have another full period to go. And you are watching this on WFTDA.com.
WFTDA.com. It's been such a clear picture for the last 2 tournaments, and from what I understand, it's even better on this one. There's the Merchant of Menace. You see in the right side of your screen, she was a very effective jammer in the first half.
Now that first half, we've seen a lot of things. A very, very tight game there up until the end of the first period. Atlanta refusing to allow Houston to break their pack apart. All 4 of those ladies, when they're on the track and the pack, they do not leave each other's side for 1 second. Now, Houston had been doing that for most of the first period, and towards the end, they started to string it out a bit, making it a lot easier for the Atlanta Jammers to work it out.
And that's exactly what they did. 80-39 is what it wound up being, a 41-point lead by Atlanta. And as Dump Truck said, the numbers don't really tell the story, because Houston was hanging right in there with them until Atlanta kind of solved the puzzle there toward the end of the half, and so we'll see. It's up to Houston to change the rules of the puzzle going forward.
Halftime is one of those times of adjustment. The skaters go to the locker room. They talk to their coaches. They probably say a lot of the exact same things you and I have just mentioned.
Exactly.
And then they talk about how to fix those problems, how to come up with a solution for those. So if Houston has a good locker room conversation and they have the minds that are able to flip the script and adapt new strategies that they need to improve on the second half, 41 points can definitely be made up in a 30-minute period.
One thing that they no doubt recognized was that the jammer that they introduced later in the first half, Wicked Sweet, was effective, and riffing on that, they begin the second half with Wicked Sweet. She faces off against Nora Gretz, however, who is fantastic in the first half, and Nora immediately picks up lead jammer for Atlanta. So we'll see how it goes. Wicked Sweet still trying to fight her way out the front of the pack, but here comes Nora Gretz, enters the back, finds an open lane on the inside, and then runs right into a mess of Houston defense. Has to recycle herself.
Nice work. Looks like that's 007. Goldie blocks, bumps her out of bounds, runs to the back of the pack, forcing her to be recycled.
Wicked Sweet finally breaks the front of the pack for the first time. That was her non-scoring run. Nora Gretz still working on her first scoring pass and sees Wicked Sweet en route, shuts it down. She had already picked up 3 points, though, so 3 unanswered for Atlanta.
That was actually Angie Christ, that hit that made it where Atlanta only got 3 points on that pass and not the full available on the floor. Thanks to the following tournament partners: Green Monster Roller Sports, Fast Girl Skates, Merch Mama, and Five Stride Skate Shop.
Some valued partners we have in this shindig, and we are happy to have them. Mistilla now standing on the line for Houston in a 3-point Pop Warner stance.
Mistilla trying to make her way to the front of the pack. Atlanta shutting it down long enough for their jammer to start moving up to the front as well. And she gets through, and she's going to be your lead jammer. That's going to be Merchant of Mayhem.
Merchant of Menace.
There's all sorts of things she's the merchant of. She sells things.
She's a department store of questionable goods, including Menace.
And Mayhem.
Yep, and points, which she's trying to score right now, but encounters a 4-wall of Houston defense in the front of the house. Sends her packing. Mistilla is in the box. Huh. Sorry about that. We must have fallen asleep at the switch on that one. Mistilla in the box and Merchant of Menace on a power jam.
She just went to the back, picked up 5 points on her last pass. Now Merchant's looking to go to the inside line of the backstretch, trying to get around the front 4 wall of black and pink, which is Houston Roller Derby. Nice. Just shrugs off a hit there, and she's staying diligent. Looks for the inside line, and Rebel Ann bumps her to the infield.
Atlanta somehow managing to keep this pack moving slow, even though they only have 3 blockers and Houston has 4.
Now it's 2 on 3 in the pack. Advantage going to Houston. Merchant of Menace making it to the front of the pack. Now at turn 2. Able to pick up all 5 on the track. That is a grand slam for Atlanta as they continue to walk away.
Man, Merchant of Menace going back for another one, and now Atlanta gets another one of their blockers back out of the box. That's only going to help. Merchant of Menace on the outside. Oh, and it was a no pack anyway, so she sails right through, picks up another 4 points. And Atlanta crosses the century mark, 100-39. The adjustments made at halftime wouldn't appear so far to be helping Houston.
One of my favorite things about this sport is not just being able to attend the events or watch them at home as you folks are right now, but it's the day that follows the tournament when your social networks start to show up with all these fantastic photos of roller derby, and you have someone like Jules Axel Adams Doyle here with his new book, No Mercy. Check out the new derby photo book from Axel Adams.
You may think you're a roller derby fan, but if your coffee table doesn't have a copy of No Mercy laying in the middle of it, you're not really.
That's true, actually. You can look that up.
It's one of the requirements.
Holocidal jamming for Atlanta, trying to make it through the pack. Does get bumped out of bounds, but she gets through. Not going to be lead jammer for cutting the track.
Shawshank still caught in the middle of the pack, finds the front of it. She is lead jammer. She immediately calls it off because Hollis Idol has caught up to the pack, and she might have. No, she did not. She did not enter the back of the pack yet. So, but a close call there, certainly.
And good for Houston, keeping their head in the game. Shank gets out of the pack, immediately turns around and looks for Atlanta's jammer. Sees that she's in striking distance and knows that it's time to call it quits. Looks like we're going to have Nora Gretz for Atlanta on the jammer line alongside number 30, Wicked Sweet for Houston Roller Derby.
Houston trying very hard to get back into the big show. The last time they went was 2009 when they won third place in the initial South Central Region Playoff Tournament, or regionals as we called it back then. Of course, Atlanta got it the following year, and then Nashville stole it away from both of them last year. So certainly both these teams always in contention for a trip to what this year is going to be in Denver. Wicked Sweet trying to muscle her way through this pack, but man, it is just a tight fit.
Looks like Goldie Block's going to be going to the penalty box for a major use of forearms. And Nora Gretz gets through the pack.
Ineligible to be lead jammer, and instead Wicked Sweet gets it, and she calls it dead immediately, as you would expect.
Definitely. It's 101 Atlanta, 39 Houston. The clock is now against Houston right now. So when you have their jammer getting through the pack, the first thing that needs to be on your mind, if you are not the jammer that is in the lead, is to call that sucker off, because you want as much time to play this game as possible. You don't want to try and milk it in this scenario.
Houston has truly two opponents right now. The clock is one, Atlanta is the other.
And Atlanta's looking good on the track right now.
Miss Stilla standing in her traditional three-point stance on the jammer line.
She's going against Merchant of Menace, and there is jammer to jammer action right off of the line. Merchant looking to go to the inside, now trying to cut right through the backstretch. Got one defender to get by. She does so. She's going to be your lead jammer for the Dirty South Derby girl.
Man, Merchant of Menace, what great spatial awareness as she just one obstacle after another. She made her way through that pack in no time flat. She's made her way back to the pack in no time flat. Untouched on the inside, finds one defender in the front of the house. That is number 160 for the defense. Excuse me, 360. It's the Angie Grice. Holds her at bay just long enough, but then she's able to overcome that. Also picks up 4 more points for Atlanta. Looks like Mastilla able to put a point on the board herself, though. No, make it 2. They changed it. It is going to be 2.
But still looking for those points, and in my opinion, between Miss Stilla and also Wicked Sweet, that's really going to be one of Houston's keys to picking up some points here in the second period. Those are the two jammers, in my mind, that have been most successful against Atlanta. Atlanta now with 105 over Houston's 41. We've got 22 minutes, 8 seconds to go in the final period of this game you see before you.
Nora Gretz standing on the line once again for the Dirty South Derby girls, facing off against the jammer for Houston, who is number 237, Shawshank. Shawshank comes out of the front of the pack first. Lead jammer, Houston Hard Knocks.
This is the first step for Houston to start coming back. They need to start controlling that clock, because it is not their friend. As you said earlier, Dwayne, it is like the 15th player on the Atlanta bench.
And this is going to help. Nora Gretz goes to the box on a cut track major, so that is fantastic news for Houston. There is still time on the clock to turn this thing around, but the journey has to start now. Shawshank in a power jam, and on the outside, untouched, a 5-point grand slam like it was nothing. Only 2 blockers on the track for Atlanta. A true power jam.
And Houston having some more great things happen for them as their penalty bench unloads and they have full strength on the track, making life so sweet for Shank as she gets to the back and picks up a grand slam.
And a third time, 3 times in a row, untouched. She just dissects the pack. Unbelievable. 15 points in the space of seconds, and another one. 20 points, ladies and gentlemen. Good grief.
Well, make me eat my words. It looks like Shawshank is going to be one of the huge driving forces for the Houston
You got to
Roller
be
Derby.
kidding me. A fifth one. 25 points so far, and it's still not over. 23 seconds left on the jammer clock. You talk about momentum shifts. This is one right here. Atlanta now gets their jammer back.
Power Jam now over, and here comes Shawshank at the back of the pack. With 10 seconds to go in the jam, she's looking to do some more damage, but she's not able to and must call off that jam. Wow, Atlanta coming up hot, about to get in striking distance, but you cannot stop talking about how fantastic that jam was for Houston Roller Derby. Dwayne, they're right back in it.
Yep, so we just talked about that. It is possible to come back, but it's time to go to work. That's exactly what they did. They punched in, and a 25-point jam puts them right back in the game. 105-71, 34-point lead by Atlanta. Just a second ago was a nearly 60-point lead.
Houston having everything go right for them in that jam. First off, lead jammer status. Check that one off. Then it's a power jam situation. Amazing. And then all of a sudden, you've got 4 blockers on the track as a support cast where you outnumber Atlanta's pack. That gets even better. And then by the end of it, 25 points Houston. The world changes right there. It's a 34-point game. We've got 20 minutes and 5 seconds to go, Dwayne.
It is amazing what penalties can do to a game like this. It's already, teams that are close together in skill level. Penalties come through and they just wreck everything, but that's part of the game too. If you have all your players going to the box at once, you are susceptible to a 35-point jam, monster jam at the hands of your opponent, and that's what Atlanta now calls a team timeout to talk about. And it looks like the timeout has now shifted to an official timeout.
We do want to thank Derby Skins. They love making your hiney shiny. Check them out at derbyskins.com. That's Derby Skins with a Z. And 5on5 Magazine, the official magazine of the WFTDA. Check them out at 5on5mag.com. Our trackside skate shop, Sin City Skates, the Big 5 skate techs. They'll fix your gear or just chat about new stuff. Check it out, Maxi Bad here, all the way from San Diego, California, just to make sure that everybody's gear works appropriately.
I hear that's a nice place.
I've read about it.
Have you?
Yeah. It's kind of magical, actually. Did you know that they have the ocean nearby?
I'm not familiar with this ocean. We're live from Kansas City, Missouri right now, and evidently the ocean exists somewhere.
It does. It's like a lake, but bigger.
And salty, from what I understand.
That's what I've read.
Nearly infinite.
Wow.
Standing on the line, couple of new jammers. Well, a couple of jammers as the action gets back underway.
Miss Dilla going to be out there for Houston. I believe that's going to be Merchant of Menace for Atlanta.
It is indeed Merchant of Menace versus Miss Dilla. This is a great one. Merchant of Menace looking like she's going to sneak out the front of that pack first. I think she is ineligible. Oh, get that.
Not only is she ineligible, but she's going to be heading to the penalty box.
That was a major illegal procedure. Didn't quite catch what the call was, but whatever the case, that's all Houston needs right now. Another power jam right on the heels of that last one, a game changer.
Miss Dilla catches a flag there from Rebel Yellow. And now she's got to go against even more defenders from from Atlanta, but she has been let go. I believe that was Wheelan Jennings with that last final hit that released her from the pack.
That was playing with fire. She was a long way out the front of the pack, managed to avoid the call.
Wow, Miss Dilla in the pack and out of it almost as quickly with a grand slam for Houston Roller Derby.
Grand slam, the order of the day out of the city of Houston. That is the... the 6th consecutive Grand Slam, counting the last 5.
Well, you can hear the action in the penalty box as the Jammers take a seat.
And another one! So 25 points on the last jam, and now 2 more Grand Slams. That is
all with
7
only
Grand
2
Slams in a row.
teammates out there. It's 3-on-2 in the pack. Atlanta does have the advantage in bodies out there. Power Jam does come to a close as Merchant of Menace has now re-entered the pack. Miss Dilla goes down over by the apex, calls off the jam, or attempts to do so, but she's got a major track cut. Power Jam advantage goes back to Atlanta.
Cut track and a low block, it looks like. Good grief. Yeah, 2 minutes in the box.
Ooh, that could be one of the nails in the coffin for Houston right there. 2 minutes is a very long time to go without a point-scoring player.
Their defense is going to have to go to work. This jam is over on time, but she must have another minute 40, something like that, in the box for the next jam. Nearly the whole jam, Atlanta. So this is going to be all defense on the Houston side. If they can survive this next jam, they got a shot of keeping up this momentum that they had. But man, how about the Grand Slam 7 in a row in 2 jams for Houston?
That's what it takes, and it can happen. Very rarely do you see that kind of stuff, though, at top-tier play. And when you're watching 2 teams, number 4 and number 5, that qualifies, in my opinion. Usually you don't see those huge answerless jams whenever you get to the very, very top in the top 4 and 5 seeds in your region.
Houston beginning the jam with a knee. It's a curious choice because you would think they would want to burn the clock right now.
Rejoining the action for Houston is going to be Jekyll and Heidi. She comes in at the back of the pack. Again, this power jam is in the advantage of Atlanta.
Nora Gretz making her way through the pack. Now, if she goes to the box, Brand Aid is still, that would kill the first of the 2 consecutive.
That would kill them all. If you can't keep your skater on the track, she doesn't go back and serve another minute. That penalty period is now over. So it would behoove Atlanta to stay on the track and so they can take the full advantage of the 2 minutes that are available and not guaranteed.
Mistilla in for 2 minutes on 2 consecutive major penalties.
We've only got 46 seconds to go in this jam, so you would expect to see Mistilla stand up here pretty soon. Debbie Gar is standing up right now in the penalty box for Atlanta, and that means she's got 10 seconds or less left in the penalty box before she can rejoin the track.
Atlanta so far only able to take advantage of this situation to the tune of 5 points. So good work by Houston limiting the damage. She plunges into a 4-wall in the front of the house of Houston. They're going to try to keep her from getting another Grand Slam, and on the floor goes No Regrets, and out of the box comes Mistilla. She calls the jam, but Mistilla back on the line. If she had done it a second earlier, Atlanta would have the solitary jammer on the line for the next jam. Instead, both jammers will stand there, and only looks like she got 2 points on the second scoring run, but only 7 points put on the board by Atlanta in the last jam. Is that correct? I believe it is. Only 2? She got a 5-point. Whatever the case, it was not nearly as devastating as it could have been had the Houston defense not been more on the ball. Merchant of Menace skating off the jammer line for Atlanta.
And Houston puts in Shaw Shank, the blood life of just a few jams ago. She's looking to come in here and give a big surge at Houston Roller Derby, and that's what happens right there in turn 3 as she becomes her lead jammer.
Atlanta had a huge opportunity to put a nail in the coffin when Mistilla was in the box for 2 minutes, unable to capitalize on it. Now Shaw Shank, lead jammer, on the loose, en route to the backfield in scoring position. Merchant of Menace still hung up behind this Houston defense.
Well, you got to look at the player she's going against. She's going against number 37, Carmen Get-It, and also 1491, Wendigo Jones. And that 2-wall has been skating a lot bigger than just 2.
Yeah, not bad work at all for a 2-wall. Finally, Merchant of Menace gets through, but here's a scoring run completed by Shank, and she picks up 4 points, puts it on the board, calls it dead. Merchant of Menace did not sneak in the back. So 4 unanswered points are that much closer, 117 to 88, and there is still 14 minutes left in the game. Timeout called by Houston.
Fantastic play there on the defensive side of Houston. These last 2 jams, they have done a really good job of stepping it up a bit, only allowing a few points in the jam prior, where they did not have a jammer on the track for 2 full minutes. They were in the middle of this situation right here, able to continue to put points on the board. Atlanta now with 117 in red and blue. Houston with 88 in black and pink, as we see there. Dwayne, we've got 13 minutes and 58 seconds to go in the final period of regulation. How do you see Houston, or what do you see that Houston needs to do to be successful in this game?
Well, if they could order up another helping of Monster Power Jam 5-point multiple consecutive grand slams, it certainly wouldn't hurt. I mean, they were down by 60, 70 points at the beginning of this half, and all they have is, 39 to come back from.
And we were just looking at the Atlanta bench, who do have a pretty good lead right now. Definitely not comfortable. For them to continue to own the lead, what do you see them having to do?
Well, what they're going to have to do is get their penalties under control, for one thing. That would be the number one priority, I would say, right now. And then, just try to ride out this clock and keep any more devastating uppercuts from connecting out of the Houston side.
I agree with you, sir. And on the jammer line for Atlanta, it looks like we do have Nora Gretz, and for Houston Roller Derby, Brand-Aid.
It's really been it's been chip damage on the Atlanta side, and it's been big monster shots. It's been just square shots to the gut out of Houston, and Atlanta's going to have to shut that down.
Houston, a very opportunistic league this morning or afternoon, and now they have lead jammer status as well. If they can hold back Nora Gretz, which is exactly what Rebel Land's trying to do there with those big hits, then they have another opportunity to exploit some things that have been handed to them on the track.
Brand-Aid, here she goes. Now it is a fast-moving pack. She's going to have a tough time catching back up to it. Now Atlanta gets one of their defenders back. Atlanta's jammer still behind the pack, and Brand-Aid with another 5-point grand slam. Here we go.
For Houston to continue to be successful in this jam, they've got to stay together in that pack, Dwayne. They've been spreading out a lot. So far, they've been getting away with it. If they can stay tight and play as a pack for the rest of this game, they have a true opportunity to not only upset Atlanta, but come out victorious and move on in this tournament.
Beverly Kills in this one as a blocker. The jammer on the Atlanta side gets the drop on her. She comes out the front of the pack, but not before Brand-Aid gets one more 5-point grand slam, and Houston drops the hammer once again. Only a 19-point lead by Atlanta. How about that?
Man, that's awesome. 19-point lead with 12 and a half minutes to go in gameplay. Here comes the cliche, ladies and gentlemen. It's anybody's game.
Oh, man, it is. It is really true now. Miss Dilla comes off the line for Houston on the inside.
Godzilla.
Untouched once again. Good grief, Houston is in it to win it.
Houston good at a lot of things right now. It's all about that halftime adjustment. Ever since they got back on the track in the second period, they're a new team with a new face. Right now, Becky Booty is trapped at the back of the pack, but now she has forced the Atlanta wall to move up to the front with her. Mastilla trying to get through said wall and pick up some points here, as Atlanta's jammer has yet to get out of the pack. Mastilla looking to go to the inside line to turn forward. Now she's outside of the front stretch. Gets through. Look at it. It's so sweet. It's 5 points at one pass.
Every time the Grand Slam has been the most deadly tool in Houston's arsenal during the third game of the day at the South Central Region playoffs. Miss Dilla enters again, taken down, flattened by the defense.
She's quick to get back up, and right at the front of the pack is where she is. She's calling off the jam with fervor as the jammer from Atlanta, Menace, is approaching the back of the pack.
An 11-point game. Houston climbing back up this slippery slope.
I love making good life decisions. Dump Truck, what are you doing this weekend? I'm going to Kansas City. Why are you going to Kansas City? Because they have the South Central Region playoffs there, and it's going to be amazing. I like telling the truth as well, and I really appreciate both of these squads giving us one hell of a game this afternoon.
I like what a tight gradient it is down the seating chart, you know? There's no like big gaps in it, and that's why we're seeing all these tight games.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see at tournament play. We've had a lot of matchups that have been one seed next to the other, like 8 versus 9. Now right here we're watching 4 versus 5, and you hope that those make for good matchups because they are seeded so close. So far, it looks like the seeding has them in the right group playing each other.
Accurate
the only game we've
so
seen,
far.
Yeah, definitely. The only big game that we have seen kind of break away was No Coast and Omaha, the difference there being 3 seeds, 7-10.
And of course, it seemed like this one was going to be that way just before halftime, but boy, were we ever wrong.
It looks like number 5 could very easily, well, maybe not very easily, but they have an opportunity to become number 4.
Yeah, there's some pretty serious looks that you see there on the faces of the Atlanta huddle. They know that their lead in this game is in jeopardy coming into the last 10 minutes of the contest. 117 to 106, an 11-point lead. We're unanimous about that.
The 2011 South Central Region Playoffs is brought to you in part by Talk is Cheap. TICSkateGear.com is where you find it. Take it to the track, stop by their booth, or go by the website today. We also want to make sure that you know that Vanilla Derby is happening right now.
Action back underway. The jammer Homicidal for the Dirty South Derby Girls comes off the line, threatening the front of the pack. There is one jammer that stands in her way. That is the Antichrist for Houston Hard Knocks. And she does so effectively.
Antichrist got a block against the Atlanta jammer, Dwayne.
Long enough for Shawshank to pick up the lead jammer, sure enough.
She just squeaked her hips out, did get eaten in the pack and had to be recycled a bit, but it's not enough to keep her in there all day long. She's out of that pack now, Dwayne, owning the clock, which is so important for Houston right now, and she's about to be in scoring position as Atlanta's jammer just now gets released from the pack with only 1 minute 7 seconds to go in this jam.
Yeah, Homicidal is a mile away from the back of the pack, and Shawshank drilling into the pack, ground into the inside, and she did not get any points. She was bumped to the inside and called off the jam. She may have done that a little prematurely because Homicidal nowhere close, and it does look like Atlanta lost a blocker right at the end. They already had one in the box, so it is going to be a half a pack on the Atlanta side, and the entire defense on the line for Houston. They take a knee to get the jammer whistle blown as soon as possible.
Wow.
Brand-Aid comes off the line untouched.
Wow.
Man, I don't know. I think this
really
is
coming in hot right now, and
Houston's game to win. Yeah.
Yep, this is Houston's game to win. It is not Atlanta's game to lose at this point, because Houston is playing the roller derby they know how to play. They've got a great advantage with having 4-on-2 in the pack, and what a smart play there. Houston picking up 4 points, call off the jam. Even though they're skating well and they feel really good about how they're playing towards the end of this game, they still know that clock is not their friend.
And Nora Gretz, the jammer for Atlanta, had broken the front of the pack, so she knew she wasn't going to let her get to the pack. Shut it down immediately. You got a 7-point deficit now. A 7-point deficit? That's it? Okay, I mean, after a 60-point lead, 65, whatever it was, a 7-point lead, that's practically a tie game.
If you're tuning in on WFTDA.com, you're welcome. It's Miss Stilla jamming for Houston Roller Derby, and I believe that's going to be Merchant of Menace for Dirty South Derby Girls. Miss Stilla now at the front of the pack, trying to get by the final 2 defenders in red and blue from Atlanta, having to fight for it now in turn 2. She does get out, and she is your lead jammer for Houston Roller Derby. They've got 1.5 minutes to go on the jam clock. Atlanta's jammer, Merchant of Menace, now out of the pack as well. Miss Stilla now needs to decide if she wants points or if she wants time on that clock.
Well, Houston's defense is in the back, so she's going to have to work for it. She better keep an eye on things. If she can find an open lane and call it, she does not call it. Merchant of Menace taken down on the inside. 3 points go on the board. Merchant gets one of them, but it's a 2-point gain for Houston. And a 5-point lead is what we're left with for Atlanta. Still 7.5 minutes left in the game.
Boy, one jam at a time is exactly how Houston has gotten within striking distance. 5-point game, Atlanta 118, Houston 113. And Dwayne, we've only got 7 minutes and 15 seconds to go in this game. What?
Two games like this in a row. Good grief.
Totally worth our time.
Oh, man.
Shank going to be jamming for Houston Roller Derby, who is now caught the back of the pack behind the Atlanta 3-wall.
Man, what? Houston just has come alive in the second half. Nora Gretz hits the floor, and it looks like Shank may sneak out the front of the house. There's not much defense standing in her way. Only one defender left.
Wendigo Jones takes a seat in the penalty box.
Nora Gretz steals it back. Nope, ineligible. Shank gets it. She calls the jam. How about, oh man, how about that? You know what? If there's any penalty avalanches on either side,
That's
the game's
it.
over.
Yep, you're right. It is all about turning into a technical team. If you're going to start skating really cleanly and very technical and continue to be successful with your jammers picking up points, you're the one that's going to win this game. If anyone gets a hot head and starts playing a little bit loose, you're not going to come out at the top once the zeros hit the floor.
And when it's so neck and neck, tit for tat like this, you cannot afford a handicap on either side of any kind.
You're right. Brand-Aid out there jamming for Houston Roller Derby gets stuck in traffic. And here comes Atlanta picking up lead jammer status. That's Holocidal, number H64.
Holocidal en route to the backfield, and Brand-Aid just now coming out the front of the pack, so they're going to limit her to one scoring run in all likelihood. Holocidal can... No, it's not happening. Holocidal completes a 4-point pass, calls the jam, 122 to 113, a 9-point lead by Atlanta, 5:20 in the game.
Holocidal calls off the jam with about half a track to play with. Now, when you're this close of a game, when you know it's going to be a tight score, do you milk that clock at this point with only 5 minutes to go?
Yes, you should. That it would have behooved her to play with the clock just a little bit longer while Brand-Aid was catching up.
Atlanta looking to get things started at the first opportunity by going to one knee. Creates a no-pack situation. Forward momentum must happen. Merchant of Menace jamming in red for Atlanta.
Oh,
But
man.
Mistilla in black and pink for Houston. Sneaks right on
Look
by.
at this.
But
Merchant of Menace doesn't know it. She doesn't know it. She doesn't know that she's lead jammer. Miss Still is in front of her. She was ineligible on a back block minor. Merchant of Menace right behind her, unless she does know it, and she's doing exactly what we said and trying to kill the clock, but I don't think she knows it.
You're wondering, I'm wondering myself, she came out of the pack and it seemed like she was not aware of what was going on because it seemed like Mistilla actually got up first. That is not the case. And she goes ahead and calls off the jam. She was being a smart skater. I like it.
Yep.
Milk that clock, call off the jam. You've got a lead, Atlanta, 122 over Houston's 113. Don't get comfortable. Stay smart, stay clean. This is still your game.
And it's hard to say if she didn't look up. She did look up and look at the jam ref. She was really paying attention to the clock more. Both things are certainly things that both teams need to be aware of at this point.
Holocidal on the jammer line for Atlanta in red. And it's going to be Shawshank in black and pink for Houston Roller Derby's Hard Knocks. The
Little
pack
bit of-
staying slow, but it looks like Houston wants to get things going. It is 5-on-5 on the track at a full complement. Holocidal with some jammer action, trying to put Shawshank to the infield. It works, and it looks like Shawshank chose the wrong direction because now she's stuck behind Atlanta's red wall. Wow! Holocidal trying to get by. That did not work out well for her, as now Shawshank is at the front of the pack, getting a whip from her teammate and becoming lead jammer for Houston Roller Derby.
9 points is what she's trying to overcome. Holocidal still stuck behind the pack. Shank en route in scoring position. She comes in for a landing right now. Push to the outside. Has to recycle herself. Now finds an open lane. Looks for an open lane on the inside. Does not find it. And now sent to the box on a cut track major. Oh, man, they had a chance, but now 2:46 left to take 1 minute off the clock. And who knows how many points Atlanta scores in the meantime.
Yeah, there's plenty of time out there. You got 45 seconds to pick up points on the Atlanta side. Houston Roller Derby does have the numbers on the track, and what they want to do is start to pick up the pace here and force Atlanta to hunt them down and chase them for the points. But it looks like the Atlanta defender is going to keep things good and slow as she calls off the jam for Atlanta. It looks like she picked up an illegal procedure penalty.
That's right. She was ineligible.
She was not eligible to call off the jam as the lead jammer is sitting in the box for Houston.
The referees were not fooled, so it is only a minor penalty. If it was us, it would have been a major because we thought the jam was over for a split second.
Rebel Ann doing good work alongside her Houston pack.
Jekyll and Heidi, the pivot for Houston, sent to the box. The box is full, so if anybody else goes to the back, they'll be in a holding pattern. There seems
I heard 4 whistles happen more than once.
Yeah,
it looks like Atlanta did not and just continued to skate. It is always safer to keep on going out there just in case it's simply a confusion because there's a lot of penalties happening at one time. But it seemed like that there were 4 whistles in a row to me from here in the booth.
Now an official timeout as they just make sure. Something that does definitely need to happen because we are in the midst of a 12-point game with a minute left on the scoreboard. Houston could certainly come back. Atlanta is looking more and more likely all the time to retain their lead, but man, when it's this close and this late, and so much momentum has been on the Houston side in the second half, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to call at this point. Both teams do have 2 timeouts as well, and that's something that you want to pay attention to as Houston wants to extend the amount of time that they actually get to touch the track with 8 wheels. This broadcast brought to you in part by Dr. Hauschka, the WFTDA's official bruise healer. Lose the bruise with Dr. Hauschka's Ouch Aid. And Elemental Technologies, the world's most powerful video processing solutions. Also, Adam Wheels, the official wheel of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. And Rydell Skates, proud partner and the official skate of the WFTDA. We also want to thank the following tournament partners: DerbySupply.net, responsible for bringing me to the Big Five; Flat Track Revolution, Derbilife, and Derby for All.
Those are our best friends this weekend at the 2011 South Central Region Playoffs here in Kansas City, Missouri, nicknamed the Show Me Derby Q.
I like that very, very much.
The state nickname of Missouri, the Show Me State. Barbecue, the cuisine that this city is famous for, although after this weekend, tight games is what it's going to be famous for. This one, a 12-point lead by Atlanta with a minute and a half left. Both jammers come off the line.
Shawshank jamming for Houston. Merchant of Menace for Atlanta, who gets lead jammer. Now Atlanta owns the jam clock with less than 2 minutes to go. This could be the final jam if Atlanta simply wants to skate and stay clean and milk that clock. Shawshank now looking to get out of the pack on her initial pass. She does so.
That's a defense that was too concerned with getting their own jammer. I had no idea that the Atlanta jammer was approaching.
It's always good to get your jammer out there, but it's even better when you stop your opponent from picking up points.
Oh, man, Merchant of Menace almost got a back block out of that one. Managed to get away with it. 4-point pass for Atlanta, and that's going to help.
Yeah, it looks like the opportunity is starting to close here as Atlanta picks up 4 points on that pass, continues to skate around at a moderate pace, eating up this clock while continuing to up their score.
It's going to hurt for Houston to get this close and be denied, but if something dramatic doesn't happen fast, as 4 more points for both jammers, credit is going to have to go to Atlanta for holding off such an onslaught of momentum shift in the second half of this game. Good grief. Look at these jammers moving close together. That does not help out the jammer for the Houston side.
No, it doesn't. The Merchant knows what she's doing, and she's trying to make sure that she is running interference for...
And that's it. The period clock is over. There are 12 seconds left on the jam clock. Ladies and gentlemen, Houston, what an effort. Almost coming back. They were so close so many times. And it was their game to win. Did not quite happen. Atlanta holds on to it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Atlanta Roller Girls emerge victorious unofficially by 133 to 117. What a game, huh?
Boy, fantastic action that we've seen before between the number 5 and number 4 seed. Atlanta hanging on to that number 4 seed. They're going to be going on to play the Kansas City Roller Warriors, seeded number 1 in the South Central region, if they come out on top versus Gold Coast later on today.
If Gold Coast upsets the Kansas City Roller Warriors, that's who Atlanta will play. Either way, correct. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock p.m., Atlanta now taking their victory lap. Dump truck, that was quite a roller derby contest that these roller skaters just had, huh?
That was a fantastic competition.
I noticed that too.
Hi, I'm Bob Doxis, and we're here at the South Central Region Tournament, And I'm standing here with Demi Gore, who is jumping up and down because she's obviously quite excited. They just defeated Houston by about 11 points. The final was 133 to 117. And Demi, well, first off, how does it feel to get through that first round, not being seated quite as high as you were last year?
It feels great. It feels like we just jumped a huge mountain and we're ready to roll on down and, get it going for the weekend.
Well, I'm really excited for you guys. You and I have known each other for a long time, and we've always talked about this. But Atlanta has kind of had this problem of being a tale of two halves. Now, the first half, you're up by 41 points. You're just absolutely controlling them. And then what happens in the second half?
I'm not really sure. It also has to do with the other team. Houston's really smart, and they're obviously not going to keep going with the tricks that we tried to pull in the first half. So they were coming back with their own. It kind of shot us up a little bit, and I think we had to pull our heads together and really just focus and make sure that we maintained our strengths and just kept going and pulled it through.
Well, and you did that, and you kept it together, and you played some very tenacious defense, especially in light of the fact that you hit penalty trouble in the second half.
That's always a hard one too.
They closed it up, but it wasn't enough. I mean, what is it about that defense that's been so different the last couple of years?
You mean stronger?
Yeah.
We feel that it's been stronger. We're just learning. We're always learning. We don't feel like we're, one of the top teams in the country, so we don't have to learn anymore. It's always about really just bringing it all in and getting as much, information as possible, watching all the top teams in the country and loving to play them and get beat by them and learn. That's all you can do.
Yeah, it is about losing and absorbing things, isn't it? There's no question. Well, I want to congratulate you. I know how important all of this is to you. You said you wanted to give a shout out to Mama Gore, as would I. I haven't seen her in a while, but she's always fun to see.
Mama Gore was supposed to be here this weekend, and Mom, I love you so much. We did it for you.
Thank you, Demi, and back to the guys upstairs. Thanks. And hi, welcome again from the South Central Region Tournament. This is Bob Noxious. I'm standing here with Mistilla from Houston Roller Derby. And Mistilla, I wish, we've known each other for a long time. I wish we were standing here talking about a happier scenario. But first off, I just want to say nice game. The game between you and Atlanta was, from a crowd standpoint, was fantastic.
Playing those ladies is always a lot of fun and a good challenge. They're great athletes. They are awesome women, and we enjoy playing them. We know that going up against Atlanta that we do have some challenges with their defense. This time they came out on top, and I wish that we were actually here talking about a different situation, but we do have more games to win this weekend.
Yeah, no, and that's true. I mean, there's still many, many marks that can be made on this weekend's tournament. But let's talk a little bit about this year. I've had a chance to see you a number of times this year. By far the most cohesive team that I've seen Houston field on a consistent basis. I mean, what was different? What kind of separated any divides or whatever that might have been there before?
Well, we started this travel team season off since January very competitively, and we decided in January that we were going to set some goals, we were going to implement some new strategies, and we honed in on those, we took off with them, and it's really shown. Our team is more cohesive and more gelled than it has. We have momentum behind us. All the teammates are working together, and we have some amazing coaches. And we're just honored to, be a part of the sport and be able to be recognized as a team that has come so far.
And, I know 2 years ago you guys made it in against Dallas in the final jam of the night. Last year you didn't quite get there. And this year I know you had your sights on it. And having seen the team, I know that it certainly had its potential. Atlanta has nipped you in the bud for the second time this year. I mean, you said that they've thrown you some things that have kind of always hampered your team, but what is it exactly?
Well, you cannot deny that Atlanta 3-wall in the back. I mean, any jammer coming up on that's like the worst nightmare. But I'll tell you, in that second half, we did have a rally. We came back, I believe we had at least 5 Grand Slams within 2 jams, and we also had held them to 6 jams scoreless. So that was pretty amazing. It just didn't happen fast enough. But they got us defensively in that first half.
No, you're right, because you guys had it down within 5. You ended up losing by about 17, something like that, or 13. But anyway, congratulations. It's been a great year so far. It's not over yet, and all the best.
No, thank you so much. Houston is just happy to be a part of such an awesome organization.
Thank you. This is Bob Noxious with Mastilla from Houston Roller Derby. We'll throw it back to the fellas.